Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
I have this kind of personal sense of deficit in my life that I didn't serve. So I'm doing everything I can to kind of honor the guys who did. And I am personally grateful to them for their sacrifice and for their commitment and the things they've gone through. And I extend that love and that admiration to anybody who has a family member who's died, who has been honored by service throughout their lifetime. And I came from a family of service, and that's, like I said, is my only regret, actually. But I'm doing what I can from the civilian side.
That's Kelsey Grammer talking about his regret that he did not serve in the military. Today is Veterans Day. It is a day where you thank every veteran that has served and that you remember that. And we should make it all year round. We should be thanking a veteran every single day. One of my longtime friends, Tommy Clack, is joining us today. He used to call himself the other triple amputee from Georgia. He is one of the great people that have furthered the cause of keeping the light on veterans and their needs throughout his time, not only serving, but since he has been home. Tommy Clack joins me today on Veterans Day. Tommy, how are you?
Martha, it's good to talk to you, and I trust you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I just got home from a trip to Israel and spent about 36 hours getting home because of all the airline stuff. But you know what? It's a great day to be an American, like it always is. Now, tell folks just first your story and just in a quick way, your story and how you're here today.
Well, I am blessed that I grew up in a family that my dad was a World War II veteran from Pearl Harbor through the South Pacific, and Mom built bombers up at what was the Bell Bomber Plant, now Lockheed Martin. And so I grew up in that environment. Both of them survived the Depression, and I think my generation was blessed to grow up with World War II parents who instilled in us duty, honor, and country. And I knew that I was going to go in the military. That was never discussed, but I'm actually 8th generation Army in my family. My son is 9th generation Army. It's a way of life, and I encourage any individual thinking about their future to go into the military to get that teamwork and that discipline. But I had the honor of serving in Vietnam with the 2nd of 27th Warpound, which is part of the 25th Infantry Division, and on May 29, 1969, in a firefight, I got injured and lost my 3 limbs and lost a hearing and internal injuries, and spent 22 months in the hospital. I was going through 33 surgeries at that time, but by the grace of God, I am not listed on the Vietnam Wall on panel 125 West Line 106. That's where I would be if I was listed on that wall. So God is good, and I'm here today.
And you came back from Vietnam, and I think didn't both of your children go to West Point? Am I right about that?
Negative. No.
Negative.
He went straight into the Army as one of our Rangers.
Straight into the Army as one of our Rangers. Your folks have served. You've continued to serve, and you've worked for veterans. And one thing I remember you telling me years ago is that even when you were involved with the Veterans Administration in Georgia, that you waited in line like everybody else to get the care that you needed so that you would know how it went.
I still believe that and still do that. I think there's a lot of improvements that can be done to the VA. I think Secretary Collins is on the right track to reconstitute the VA's mission to care for him who shall have borne the battle, his widow and his children. I think the VA got away from that over the years, but hopefully he can get that moving back in that direction. So, yeah, just knowing how the VA interacts, they do a great job for a lot of veterans, but there's a lot of improvement that can be had.
We ended the draft after Vietnam, and I think the volunteer army has been very successful. But I just came back from a trip to Israel where they do have conscripted service. Men and women both serve. And one thing I was struck by, even though it's a much smaller population than we are, is that everybody, their core view of their life in Israel is about service. I talked to a Navy guy who said that he was not activated in the war in Gaza because he was in the Navy and they didn't need the Navy. So he and his dad figured out a way to create some volunteer work that they could help the people that were being evacuated. So they found a way to serve, even though they, quote, weren't called up. And I heard story after story after story like that. And it made me think, I'm not saying we need to go back to a conscription because I don't think we need 10 million man armies anymore. But I do think that we've got a problem with service right now, and that we are so disjointed in our own silos that we're not understanding what it means to be an American. And I think that's a dangerous path we're on. Am I too cynical?
No, I think you're right on. That's why, what I said earlier, I think every young man and woman should volunteer in some capacity, the military, Peace Corps, VISTA, whatever it is, but learn that teamwork and that discipline so that they can carry that through life. I think that's what's missing in society today is that key word, discipline and teamwork. We just don't have that right now.
So what will you be doing today other than talking to me?
Well, I have a speech at 11 o'clock in Cumming, Georgia. I'm doing their Veterans Day program, and then later this evening I'm speaking at a fundraiser for a veterans organization called About Face, and just be another good Veterans Day across America.
And you've lived a very long life. Do you look at your life as before your injury and after your injury?
Say that again.
Do you look at your life as before your injury and after your injury, or do you look at it on a continuum?
I can honestly say this. I have never asked God why this happened to me. I ask God constantly, what do you want me to do next? I know that sounds strange, but I think you know this. I was actually pronounced dead on the battlefield in Vietnam. Obviously, I wasn't dead. I'm still here 56 years later. Sometimes I think about the past. The thing I miss the most, I went to college on a track scholarship. I miss running, just the freedom of getting out and running. But I still get to, enjoy the outdoors in terms of hunting and fishing and shooting. So life is good. So it's today is life. We just live it.
You got to live it, that's for sure. Tommy Clack, if people want to help you in any of the charities you're involved in or the work you do for veterans or anything, how could they find out more about you?
I don't do social media. I'm blessed that a lot of veterans are in my network. I would just encourage them to contact their local veterans organization and find out how they can assist the veterans in their community. There's a big need in all of our communities across America, so that's one outlet right there. But contact the VA clinics around the area, like Oakwood is close to you, Gainesville. Find out what is needed there as volunteers. Just get involved.
Absolutely, Tommy Clack. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate you. Have a good day.
You have a great day, Tommy. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about veterans. I'll talk a little bit about my Israel trip. My plan was to do it yesterday, but then I got in too late to come and do the show yesterday. So we'll be kind of rolling out all the things that I did on my trip over the next few weeks and months. And we'll also be talking to a lot of the people that I talk to. I talk to Arabs and Palestinians and Jews and Christians and people all throughout the region. And there's a lot of things I learned. So we'll talk about all of that, and we'll also talk to you at 770-535-2911. We want you to be a part of the program. We'll be back.
Todd Starnes.
But if you want to talk about problems, talk about Joe Biden, who literally funded Iran's nuclear program.
It's the Todd Starnes Show, weekdays noon till 3 on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
While technology has certainly changed the way people do business, it hasn't changed the way we treat our customers. It's Mike Cormier, and at Hardy Chevrolet, we are as committed to excellent customer service as the Hardys were when they started the business here in Gainesville over 4 decades ago. When it's time for a new or used vehicle, remember what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Brownsbridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Have you been driving 25 in a 55-mile-per-hour zone? Are your passengers concerned about your vision? Don't let glare at night or in the rain slow you down. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK, clear lens exchange, specialty lenses with laser cataract surgery, as well as contacts and designer glasses. Our doctors handle a wide variety of vision problems for people of all ages and are skilled at providing fantastic solutions. Come see why we're voted best in Hall County year after year. Advanced Eye Center, vision correction for all ages.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, an early morning wreck in Hart County claims the life of a driver from Hartwell. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
After lengthy negotiations, an agreement was reached with the Republican Senate leader, John Thune. We will agree to open the government until January 30th, 2026. During that time, we will pass 3 bipartisan appropriation bills that will fully fund SNAP, WIC, and all the veterans programs, and finish our work on the remaining spending bills for this fiscal year. The agreement would also reverse the Trump administration's mass firings during the shutdown and prevent future ones through January 30th. We credit Senator Kaine of Virginia for this provision. Leader Thune has also promised the Democrats an opportunity before mid-December to present a Democratic bill on the floor with proposals to change the law and protect American families from dramatic health care premium increases. It is my fervent hope that this ends up being a bipartisan effort. It would be such an achievement of the Senate to finally return to that status. I've served in the Senate for 29 years, and I've never seen that kind of offer from a Senate majority. During the historic roll call last night, I walked across the aisle and met with Senator John Thune, the Republican leader. I told him that I was counting on him to keep his word on this agreement. He assured me he would.
So that's Senator Dick Durbin, who I said from the beginning that since he's retiring this year, he's the person to lead this effort. It is the Martha Zoller Show. We are at the end of a shutdown. We think that by Wednesday, the House will have voted on it and we will get through. Our 2 senators voted to keep the shutdown going. Okay, and they need to pay for that because this pain was avoidable. This is the same deal they got 5 days into the shutdown and almost the same deal they had on the 22nd of September where we never would have had a shutdown because you work on policy separate from budgets. That's just the way it is. And there are a bunch of people that are mad in the Democratic Party, the 20% that's always mad, but they control everything now in the Democratic Party. And, you know, it's really weird watching this go back and forth because we have our own problems on the Republican Party about who is, you know, really in charge. I get that, and I talk about it, and I talked about it a lot in the last week. But this is really kind of interesting because what Schumer should have done if he was a real leader and not just a political hack, was he should have said, hey, I've been in the Senate for 50 years or in Congress for 50 years. It's time for me to say I'm resigning and then I need to lead. Because unfortunately, it seems that these guys never have the cojones to lead until they're about to retire. Because the rest of the time, all they care about, and I'm not saying by party, all they care about is their political future instead of the American people. And I know there's a lot of angry voices. I got to tell you, shut down your social media as much as possible. Keep it in perspective. Read things you've always read. Talk to people you've known. Don't be like Jimmy Kimmel's wife. And keep things in perspective. I'm going to say just a quick thing about that Jimmy Kimmel and his wife, how she got on some podcast and said, she gave up on all of her Trump voting relatives because, if you don't agree with us, we're going to cut you out, is really what the position of liberal Democrats are right now. And you've got a number of things that are happening. But then she said that voting for Trump was opposing her husband. Okay, the last time I looked, Jimmy Kimmel was a comedian. He was not a politician. Maybe he thinks he's a politician. But I don't really understand the concept that voting for Trump means you don't like her husband. And the fact that she does need a break. She said she needed a break and she needed a rest. Because it's these affluent Democrats that don't worry about the economy that are now creating these issues to be concerned about. Now, we got a message in from Joe that said, I want to thank not only the service members, but the families left to manage the home front as military members are able to protect our country. These individuals are the fiber that enables service members to deploy and be ready. These families are in places like Manhattan, Kansas, and trying to keep families fed and protected on a shoestring budget and food banks. Their sacrifice is often unappreciated by the general public. That's true. It is the families, too. It's the service. And Veterans Day, you thank all veterans. Memorial Day, you remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Now, I'm an Anglophile, and I love watching things. And I did watch this morning the November 11th Remembrance Day is what they call it. And it started after World War I because of their huge losses they had in World War I. I mean, whole families were decimated. It's the reason why a lot of houses are in ruin around the country is because all the men were killed off and every class of person fought. So I watched a little bit of that this morning, and it was very humbling to watch. And we're going to have events all around the country. You can go to all around the region. You can go to Access WDUN and see where some of those are if you want to be involved today. But even if you can't attend an event today, say a prayer. Say a prayer for those who serve. Say a prayer for our country, because I am concerned right now. One of the things I learned on my trip was how committed the Israeli people are, how small they are in the region, but that in fact, the minority groups within Israel do better than minority groups anywhere else in the Arab world, and they're more integrated into society. It's very interesting to see that you go to the old city of Jerusalem and you have the Western Wall at the base. And then you have this ramp that goes up to the top of the Temple Mount that is Muslim, and Jews don't go up there. And you go into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there's 4 different Christian churches that kind of control the inside of the Holy Sepulchre. And they live there 24/7 because they don't want anybody to come in and steal anything. So at night, the gates are locked, but it's in the Muslim part of the city. So there's a Muslim, I wouldn't call him a cleric, but a Muslim person somehow involved in the government. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but he goes and he locks the door to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there's a ceremony for that. And then at the next morning at sunrise, he comes back, and they do this ceremony, and they open it back up again for the public to come in. That's such an amazing thing, and it's something that's been going on forever. I was able to walk on the road from into Jerusalem that Jesus walked on. I was able to see a synagogue where Jesus preached. I felt the top of Golgotha because they have it encased in a kind of a cathedral, like a chapel. So there's a hole in the ground where you put your hand down. I was ready for some kind of like horrible thing to grab my hand, but that did not happen. And you touch the top of a rock that is the top of Golgotha. And that's where Jesus was crucified. Then you go to a different part because the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is very rambling, but it's still not that big. And you go to a different part where you can walk in and you can see the tomb that is believed to have been Jesus's tomb. And at different parts of the week, different denominations are controlling who gets in and who gets out. And it's very interesting. And then there's a table that is said to be the table where Jesus' body was prepared. And they have it covered with something, though, because people kiss it and kneel at it. And it's an emotional moment for anybody that sees it. And so in order to protect the table that Jesus' body was prepared on, they have this stone covering around it now so that people, with the constant kneeling and kissing don't do any damage to that. They also have they're finding things everywhere. I mean, the worst thing you want to do is get a building permit and then you start getting ready to build your building and you find some antiquity underneath the ground. And then you've got to stop everything until we figure out what it is and where it goes. But it was amazing. The whole trip was amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got home next because it was harrowing and long and arduous and delayed. And I got to talk to a lot of TSA, Border Patrol, customs agents, as well as the people that were working in the airport at Newark, which I know, granted, is a small-end set of people, because they live in New Jersey, they work at the airport, so they have been kind of ground zero for the government shutdown. But I had a lot of interesting conversations, and the day culminated with us finally getting a pilot and a DJ with a boombox playing Celebrate. So it was every feeling of emotion you could get. We'll be back.
Building, moving, remodeling, they all create more waste than will fit in your average garbage can. Thank goodness for Waste Eliminator. They offer roll-off dumpsters in all sizes. Just visit wasteeliminator.com, click on Order Dumpster, and they'll deliver just what you need. From simple home cleanout to large commercial projects, Waste Eliminator handles it all. Schedule your roll-off dumpster today at wasteeliminator.com. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator.
Check your pockets and you'll find a quarter ready to inspire you to visit the state you find on the back. It's America the Great on a podcast called Quarter Miles Travel, from Virginia's historic sites to the wide open plains of Montana, the low country rhythms of coastal Georgia to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Explore America based on the U.S. Mint State Quarters. Hi, it's Anita with Travel with Anita and Friends. Quarter Miles Travel is all about pride in our states and our country. The natural beauty, the history, landmarks, and interesting people all make our country an exceptional place to visit. Go to my website, travelwithanita.com, where you will hear the podcast with stories told by historians and people who know the little-known facts. So come along, let's go on an adventure. Reach in your pocket and pull out that quarter. Flip it over, and Quarter Miles Travel will take it from there. We'll help you turn that quarter into an adventure.
Work up an appetite and help the Cops and Kids Christmas program. Be part of the Cops and Gobblers 5K and Fun Run. It starts in front of our studios in downtown Gainesville Thanksgiving morning. Register today at copsandgobblers5k.com. Brought to you by Hasty Pope and North Georgia's News Talk.
Happy Thanksgiving.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
News. I'm Therese Crowley. The Senate seals the deal, funding the government, with 8 Democratic caucus members bucking the party to reopen. Senator John Fetterman tells Fox.
It wasn't worth the kinds of chaos and trauma for our nation, because I do believe that there is a sincere conversation to be had to discuss those tax credits.
The House votes Wednesday before the government can reopen, with a December Senate vote on Obamacare subsidies. But with workers still unpaid, mandated flight cuts jumped to 6% today. 1,200 flights canceled so far. New York Governor Kathy Hochul puts the brakes on a top campaign promise of socialist Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani: free city buses, saying no, the transit system relies on fares. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posting nothing in life is free. Remember this next time you support a socialist. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and as 3 separate projects are underway in the Hall County School District, some school officials have provided updates for the ongoing work at the facilities. 2 projects are improvements to Johnson and North Hall High Schools, and a third project is the reconstruction of World Language Academy's primary campus, which was demolished at the end of the 2024-25 school year. A full breakdown of the renovation progress at Access WDUN. Some schools in the area have been recognized for their reading and math progress. More from WDUN's Caleb Hutchins.
The Georgia Department of Education has named several Hall County schools as 2024-2025 Literacy Leader and Math Leader schools. The distinction recognizes exceptional achievement and growth in reading and mathematics according to the school system. A full list of schools that made the list are on Access WDUN.
And Betty Norton of the Gainesville-based Norton Agency passed away at the age of 93 on Sunday, according to an obituary from Memorial Park Funeral Home. A celebration of life service will be held at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, November 18th, 1 week from today, at Gainesville First United Methodist Church. Memorial Park Riverside Chapel will announce a complete obituary. You can find that obituary and more news online at Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN forecast from meteorologist Holly Strano.
Cold as we are starting this day off. It's going to stay chilly. The clear skies, sunshine, but only in the mid-40s for highs. Clear skies tonight, and overnight lows will be in the mid-30s by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Young Harris, currently 28 degrees, in Jefferson, 33, and in Gainesville, 31. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
Aren't you glad that cooler weather and the fall planting season is here? This is Kelly, and Full Bloom Nursery is stocking up on beautiful mums and fall annuals. Plus, we're fully stocked with 4 acres of perennial shrubs and trees. Since 2003, Full Bloom Nursery has been helping customers all over North Georgia. To get started on your projects, give us a call at 678-616-3035. Visit fullbloomnursery.com for more info, and be sure to like us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Yesterday, Senator Fetterman and I had our 15th vote to open up the government. It looks like the government's finally going to open up. This was the wrong approach. It's been damaging for Pennsylvanians. 2 million people on SNAP, 100,000 federal employees. Senator and I are always going to vote to keep the government open.
We're in a different party, and our parties have different priorities. In this situation, we both agree that shutting our government down is wrong for our Commonwealth and for our nation, and I've refused to shut our government down.
You can always count on us to work together to put Pennsylvania first.
So it's the Martha Zoller Show. We need to see more of that, calm, cool, collected discussion instead of calling everything the end of the world. I don't know if we're there yet, but I sure hope we are. Damian Brady is here with us from National Taxpayer Union to talk a little bit about the agreement to reopen the government. And I've got a couple of other questions for him. Damian, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, good morning. We're finally at the end of this ridiculous process where we end up with a government that can't function properly on behalf of taxpayers. So we're really glad to see that the Senate has passed this. The House is going to reconvene tomorrow, and it's expected that they'll pass what the Senate passed, and then we can get back to business. And there's lots of other reforms needed down the road on Congress's agenda.
Well, I mean, bottom line is this is the same deal they could have had on the 22nd of September and never closed the government down. And it's for me, it's frustrating because there was a time, and I think it was Graham Rudman, before Graham Rudman, where if you had a government shutdown, it was just automatic that the government was funded at current levels until you got things together. And we had dozens of shutdowns before, not they didn't shut down, but lapses in spending, I guess is the best way to put it. But what's happened since that time is this has now become a political weapon, and it really doesn't bring the best out in people.
No, and it doesn't work. As we've seen, a couple times Republicans try to hold the line against higher spending. We did get the deal where they eventually passed the Budget Control Act, which led to some restraints on federal spending, but otherwise it doesn't work out. It didn't work out for Democrats this time. When Republicans were generally responsible for the shutdowns, they were trying to hold the line on spending. In this case, the Democrats were trying to unwind some of the Medicaid reforms that were passed in the tax reform bill and to add a huge bonus subsidy to the Obamacare program. So they didn't get much of what they want. There will be a vote later this year in the Senate that's been promised for those tax credits for Obamacare. So it's a very expensive program. And during Biden's years, they passed a bonus tax credit on top of the tax credit that was already enacted in the Obamacare when it was originally passed. And it's very problematic. They told us it was just temporary because of the pandemic, but now, this whole situation has just shown how unaffordable the so-called Affordable Care Act is. If it requires tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer subsidies every year to keep the program afloat, it needs some major reform to protect taxpayers from these liabilities.
Well, and I think post-COVID, that there's a lot of people, even Republicans that I talk to, that say, wow, COVID really exposed some of the problems we have in healthcare. And people look at health insurance as a health finance plan, right? So a healthcare finance plan. There's no other kind of insurance that you can't wait to use. Okay? I mean, it's like you get it and you think, okay, I'm going to go out and use my insurance right away. Most of the time when you buy true insurance, you hope to never use it, right? It's something that you're getting there to be to protect you from something. That's why we need to have this debate. And hopefully, we'll be able to have more reasonable conversation like you saw between Senator McCormick and Senator Fetterman, where they represent a state that is a purple state, and they work together on some things and they don't work together on other things. And we've got to get back to that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one bill in the Senate, I'm not sure if it's in the House yet this year, that would prevent this going forward. It's called the Prevent Government Shutdowns Act. And, before this year, it generally enjoyed bipartisan support. It was introduced in the Senate by James Lankford in the past. Maggie Hassan, a Democrat from New Hampshire, had also been a sponsor. It's also supported in the House by Jody Arrington, in the past by a Democrat, Jimmy Panetta. And what this would do is what you said, going back to Graham Rudman, it would, if Congress can't come to a funding deal, the spending would continue at current levels, and it would change the rules to prioritize handling of the budget on the floor and require members to be in Congress so we can, work forward on a more rational basis to get funding going and prevent situations like this government shutdown, which is completely ridiculous to force government employees to work. And a lot of people are furloughed, and that costs us money, but then a lot of people are forced to work, and then they go a month, 6 weeks without pay, and that's completely unfair.
It is unfair, and I think that we've got to work on this, and Congress shouldn't get their paycheck when they're not shut down. And the only criticism I have of John Thune, is if I had been, the majority leader, I would have had the Senate in session 24/7, and I would have forced those you-know-whats to actually filibuster. And let's see how long that lasts. This business of taking off the weekend and coming back on Tuesday and doing this and that and the other thing, I think they should have stayed in session, because it was not a good look to see committee hearings going on and all this other stuff going on while this government shutdown was going on.
Yeah, and you need a law to change things, because under the Constitution, members of Congress get their salary. So that's another part of how unfair this whole thing is. They continue to get paid while the people that they're basically holding hostage during this whole thing don't get paid, and many of which are still forced to work. And, another part of this whole shutdown is it's going to have a long-term, minimal economic impact. The GDP will be about $11 billion smaller than it would have been over the course of the next year. And then we're going to have to pay $8 billion in the back pay for those furloughed employees who were sent home and, will eventually get paid for not doing anything productive on behalf of taxpayers. I mean, it's unfair to treat them like that. So they will get their back pay after the result of complete political failure in Washington, D.C.
I had to fly through Newark getting back from Israel on I came in early Sunday morning, spent all day at the Newark airport, finally got out at about 1:30 in the morning on Monday. But I tell you, I thanked every TSA agent I came in contact with. I thanked the customs folks. You know what I mean? I made sure that I thanked them for being there, and all the employees too, because even though the employees of the airport in United, they still were having to deal with all of us unhappy passengers. And so I just tried to be as nice as I could because of that. But I want to ask you one question. I kind of know the answer, that the Constitution doesn't allow this, but I'm self-employed, so I paid a big quarterly payment on the 15th of September. And I bet there's a lot of self-employed people out there that did that. Okay. Then you've got everybody that's working is paying in all during this government shutdown time. And there ought to be a way, and I know the Constitution says Congress has to allocate. There was money to run these programs coming into the coffers. This idea that you've got to starve, and nobody starved, but you've got to scare people to death that there's no money, because there was money. And that's frustrating to me.
Yeah, So some parts of the federal government do have accounts like that where they're unaffected by the shutdown, but then there are others that require the statutory, law. The budget works on basically a two-step process. Congress is supposed to authorize programs, and then the appropriators allocate the money. And so we got to the point where the allocation wasn't done, and then we have the Anti-Deficiency Act, which says that no money can be spent unless Congress has provided that money. So, it's some of those cases where they don't have the standing accounts like that, then we end up with the situation, which is, hopefully, and we can get back to work. And some of the people who had supported the Prevent Government Shutdowns Act in the past will get back on that this year and get that going forward, so we don't have to worry about this ridiculous circumstance happening ever again.
So if people want to know more about the National Taxpayers Union, because you guys are one of the good guys out there, you're not partisan, you just represent the American taxpayer, how can they know more?
Yeah, you can check out our website at ntu.org. But we do lots of work here in Washington, D.C., keeping an eye on behalf of taxpayer dollars, and we're active across the states as well.
Thank you for being with us, Damian Brady. Thank you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll take your phone calls at 770-535-2911. I'm really going to be waiting. I'll be weaving in some stories about Israel throughout the rest of this week. But on next Monday, when Joni's back with me, we're going to be telling the whole story of my trip to Israel. So I want you to hang on to that. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
When it comes to where you get your news, what's important to you?
I want to hear news that doesn't take sides.
I want to hear clear reporting that's easy to understand.
Always here with the news you need. AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Magical Nights of Lights is back at Lanier Islands Resort. This season, let your holiday spirit shine as you drive through 6 miles of twinkling lights. From marching toy soldiers to brand new surprises like tailgating Santa and pickleball elves. Turn the magic into memories with overnight packages for the ultimate Christmas experience, featuring breakfast with Santa and elf tuck-ins that bring the wonder of the season to life. The lights are glowing, the joy is calling. It's time to celebrate at Lanier Islands Resort. Visit lanierislands.com for reservations.
Rise and shine with M&R Equipment and Rental. Your project success is our first job of the day. Whether it's landscaping, construction, or home renovation, we've got your back with our wide range of high-quality tools and equipment. We make starting your day easy. Simply pick your tool, choose your rental period, and get down to business. No job is too big or small. From saws to skid steers, we've got you covered, and at prices that won't break your budget. Visit us at mnrrental.com. We're here to help you build a brighter tomorrow.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Our family business has a legacy of honest, successful real estate brokerage. Buying or selling is an emotional and confusing process. We've been the trusted advocate for the best in home ownership. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Hey, Corey, I got a little quiz for you. When was gas about 30 cents a gallon? And when did Arnold Palmer win his first Masters?
Let me take a guess, 1958.
Oh, you read that just perfectly, Corey. I appreciate that. And the best thing of all, Dad and I started an electronic sales company in 1958. I was the gopher and he was the thinker.
One thing I have learned to appreciate more is in this day and age where AI is important, the credence you give to having a live person answer the phone and say, "May I help the person?"
AI is a good technology that we've embraced in our cameras, access controls, burglar alarms, fire alarms. It has a place, but may I is just as important. They want somebody caring about their problems.
So please give us a call at 770-532-3334 and look us up online at electronicsalesco.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, a progress report on construction projects involving 3 different school buildings with the Hall County School District. Those details and more news at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Very.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That was Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s wife and Bill Maher just talking about, hey, I voted for him. I'm with them ideologically, but they've gotten so mean. You know, they're just mean. And I know they want to say, but Trump, but Trump, but Trump. It's, folks, you go around Israel, there are big portraits of Donald Trump in all the windows. And there's yarmulkes that say, make Israel great again. They look at Donald Trump as their savior. We went to the Knesset and it was really funny because the guy we should have liked, because this was a Republican group of influencers, the guy we should have liked, he was really obnoxious. And so we didn't really like him that much. I mean, didn't dislike him, but he was just a little full of himself. Let's just put it that way. And then the woman who came after him that should have been the one we didn't agree with, she was such a great communicator that we kind of liked her. I kind of liked her. But what I thought was interesting is in the Knesset, it is a parliamentary procedure, so they don't vote for the person, they vote for the party, and then within the party, the people, fight for individuals. And so nobody voted for Benjamin Netanyahu as prime minister. The party put him in place because he was able to form a government. But what was interesting is, if you've ever watched the Knesset, it's very volatile. Okay, people are yelling and screaming at each other, that kind of stuff. But if it gets to a certain level, they get like a flag thrown. It's not what they call it, but that's what we call it. And if you get 3 of those, you get escorted out. So it was very interesting to see that somebody got one and they sat down, and then they started to get another one, and before they got it, they sat down because they knew if they got to 3, they were going to be escorted out. And I think we need something like that. That's for sure. Now, text message came in that said, Congress is broken, someone fix it, and we don't need 435 reps in the House. Neither party should be able to shut down the government. And, you know, I don't know about the 435 reps. They kept increasing them as the country increased, and for some reason they capped at 435 members. I don't really know. I need to look up the background for that. But I think you're right to a point, because that's the way it used to be. Prior to Graham-Rudman, if the government budget wasn't passed on time, the assumption was they would eventually pass it on time. And you know what? Because it's not a political weapon in this scenario, they do pass it on time. They would be a week, 2 weeks, 4 days, 6 days. Maybe there was one for 3 weeks. I think that's the longest one. But everything was funded at normal levels, and it was normal. The idea behind Graham-Rudman was a good one because it was accountability. You know, we're all about accountability. But what it did, and especially after the 95 shutdown, where Republicans really got hurt by that, Democrats in this case, but Republicans have done it too. The first ones to do it were Democrats. Democrats, you said, ooh, we got some political advantage from this. We're going to keep doing this. And it should have never been a political weapon. Okay? It should have never been a political weapon. So hopefully what's going to happen here is we'll see what happens. And we'll get back to better things and work on policy the way we should. We've got to have a real discussion about healthcare policy because it's not cheaper than it was 15 years ago. And it's increased much higher than the rate of inflation. That is not what we were promised with the ACA. And then I'm going to throw this out there, which you guys are going to probably disagree with me about. But I think that we do need some level of basic care that is covered by the government. And I'm giving a pause there because I know you're throwing things at your radio right now. But the problem is, what is basic care? And you're going to have this progressive wing of the Democratic Party that's going to say everything's basic care. Everything's the end of the world. You know, they just love saying people are going to die if this doesn't happen. But what I think, and you can tell me what I think about what you think about this at 770-535-2911. Basic care is the recommended checkups that you ought to have for this, that, and the other thing based on your age, and the follow-up. And that would be up to and including if you find out that you have cancer in one of these screens and a treatment is recommended, then yes, that should be covered by your insurance or by whatever basic plan we put in together. And then if you want more coverage of that, like elective surgery and all this kind of stuff, then you ought to have to buy a policy on top of that. That's what the French do, and it works pretty well. It's not like what the NHS is, where it's socialized medicine. Socialized medicine doesn't work, but we'll see what happens there. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. I had a lot of very moving experiences in my trip to Israel. One was the number of people who made a decision to move to Israel because there was a Jewish state and they felt like their family should be there because it's a Jewish state. This one woman we talked to, who was the person that took us through the Holocaust Museum, and she goes, you know, I went to Columbia University. I was a New Yorker. I was living in Long Island. I was married to a doctor. She goes, isn't that a cliche? I was married to a doctor. And one day my husband came to me and said, there's a state of Israel and we should be there to help it. And so they moved 20 years ago to Israel. They had 4 children when they moved, and they had 3 more after they got there. The number of families that have 4, 5, 6, 7 children over there is just amazing, both in the Muslim community and in the Jewish community and the Arab community and the Christian community. Everybody has big families there. And it's very interesting to watch. The other thing was the number of young people from mostly the United States, but other countries around the world, that when they got to be 18, knowing they were going to be conscripted into the military, they came to Israel on their birthright trip and then decided to stay and help their country. And then overwhelmingly, the stories that we were told of people that just came from all over the world to help with this fight in Gaza 2 years ago was just amazing. But the most amazing story, and I told a little bit of it earlier in the program, but the most amazing story was of the Bedouin police officer. He's a Muslim. He said very clearly, this is not the kind of Islam that Hamas practices, is not Islam. He said it very clearly. He was a Bedouin police officer. He had a bad feeling about that day on October 7th, so he brought an extra magazine of bullets. So he had 45 bullets when he showed up for work, 3 magazines of 15. He showed up for work at 6:22 that morning. The attack started at 6:29. And within 30 minutes, they realized this was not a normal attack and that the IDF, for some reason, was not there yet. Neither were other police officers. They found out later that these places had been attacked, irrigation systems had been taken down, the police stations had been attacked, the military stations, the small military stations that were around there had been attacked also before they came in. Nova was an accidental target. They did not know those 2,000 people were going to be there. Hamas did not. This plan was put in place to destroy Israel, and there were supposed to be 7 fronts immediately. They were supposed to be attacked from 7 sides, including the Arab Israelis, on that day. And Hamas was the only one that did what they promised to do. The other ones kind of chickened out. There was a few rockets, but not very much. And the Arabs inside Israel did not revolt at all because they have a better life inside Israel than they do in any Arab country. And so they didn't fight. So it was not as bad of a war. The idea was to destroy Israel. The problem is this plan was discovered by the Israelis in 2021. And why were they not more prepared for it? We'll talk more about that. It's going to be a trickle out all throughout the week and months ahead, but I hope we'll all learn something. We'll be back.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Severe from Vicks.
Sinex Severe nasal spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Severe instantly relieves nasal congestion and works 6 times faster than nasal decongestant tablets. The 12 hours of relief allow you to get back to the moments that matter without congestion.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it. Try Sinex Severe from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
Tomorrow might be the last day of the government shutdown. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I am truly elated that our government is going to reopen. For all of the millions and millions of Americans now, will have their lives brought back to normal.
Democratic Senator John Fetterman on Fox the morning after he and 7 others bucked his party and joined Republicans in a Senate vote approving funding through January 30th. The bill also funds the military and SNAP food assistance through next September. Fox's Aisha Hasni's at the Capitol where a House vote's expected tomorrow.
President Trump backs this deal, and the House Freedom Caucus
caucus is also playing ball. There is hope that the conference is on board, minus maybe a Thomas Massey. The speaker can only lose 2 of his own members if all Democrats vote no. And right now, you guys, the Democrats are whipping a no vote. Do expect, though, a few moderates on their side to support this deal as well.
Many Democrats, though, are angry. The bill does not include what they have demanded now 42 days in this shutdown. An extension of Obamacare subsidies set to expire December 31st, driving the cost of coverage higher for millions of Americans. What happens at the end of January if there's a stalemate over funding again? President Trump tells Fox,
"We're trying to put in a bill, as you know, the bill or a bill, that you can never do that again. You can't just shut down the government because you're trying to renegotiate a deal."
Well, until the government reopens, air travel will remain stressful. The cancellations and delays piling up again today, more than 2,000. And Fox's Mark Meredith reports
ground delays or stops are possible at major East Coast airports, including New York's LaGuardia, Boston Logan, and Washington's Reagan. It's because a number of air traffic controllers are calling out sick amid the shutdown still going on at this point. There's controllers calling out, and President Trump is saying it's unacceptable. He posted on Truth Social, all air traffic controllers must get back to work now.
The president wants to give controllers who stayed on the job $10,000 bonuses, and soon the president will travel to Arlington National Cemetery. Next hour, he'll lay a wreath on this Veterans Day. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. An overnight crash in Hart County has claimed the life of a driver from Hartwell. WDUN's Lawson Smith has this report.
Georgia State Patrol says the Volkswagen GTI driven by 23-year-old Michael Richard Wilcox was traveling along New Prospect Road northbound near Windward Point Drive after 1:15 a.m. Tuesday when the vehicle traveled off the shoulder into a pasture where it struck multiple trees before overturning. GSP officials say Wilcox was not wearing restraint devices when the wreck happened and was partially ejected and pronounced dead at the crash scene. The cause remains under investigation, but driver impairment is suspected according to the GSP release.
Some schools in the Northeast Georgia area, including in Hall County, have been recognized for their reading and math progress. More details from WDUN's Hamilton Keener.
The Georgia Department of Education has named several Hall County schools as 2024-25 Literacy Leader and Math Leader schools. The distinction recognizes exceptional achievement and growth in reading and mathematics according to the school system. A full list of schools that made the list are on Access WDUN.
Well, the bitter cold weather still upon us here in North Georgia, while many fire departments across Georgia statewide are advising the safe use of space heaters during evening hours. More from GNN's Liz Kennedy.
When it comes to staying warm, it's crucial to prioritize safety, especially when using space heaters. Always plug them directly into a wall outlet and avoid using extension cords or power strips. And refrain from plugging other electrical devices into the same outlet as the heater. Keep heaters at least 3 feet away from furniture and flammable materials and place them on stable surfaces to prevent tipping. Choose a heater with an automatic shut-off feature for added safety if you fall asleep.
And Betty Norton of the Gainesville-based Norton Agency passed away Sunday at the age of 93. That, according to an obituary from Memorial Park Funeral Home this past weekend. Celebration of Life service will be held 2 p.m. 1 week from today, Tuesday, November 18th, at Gainesville First United Methodist Church. Memorial Park Riverside Chapel will announce a complete obituary where you can find more details and more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Good Tuesday morning, North Georgia. Cold as we are starting this day off. It's going to stay chilly. The clear skies, sunshine, but only in the mid-40s for highs. Clear skies tonight, and overnight lows will be in the mid-30s by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Baldwin, freezing mark 32 degrees. In Duluth, 33. And in Gainesville, 33. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
It's getting cooler, and that means those outdoor pests want to be indoor residents. While a tube of caulk goes a long way to keep them out, Select Pest Control can make sure they don't leave alive. Select can put down a residual barrier that keeps the pest out. And if you want to do it yourself, they'll put the right product into your hands and make sure you know how to use it. Find out more at selectpest.net, or better yet, visit the Select store at 1786 Brownsbridge Road and tell them Todd Stern sent you.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Many of my friends are unhappy. They think we should have kept our government closed indefinitely to protest the policies of the Trump administration. I share their opinions of this administration, but cannot accept a strategy which wages political battle at the expense of my neighbor's paycheck or the food for his children. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Dick Durbin. Boy, he sounded tired, didn't he, Logan? He sounded really tired.
That's a man who's been up for a while.
Yes, and I can relate to that because I did that too. But he's right. I'm not going to use the American people as hostages for policy we don't agree with this president. Okay, insert any name of any person that you might like or dislike in government. Okay? Don't you think that's a reasonable point of view? I'm not going to sacrifice American people for policies I disagree with this president, with this majority leader, with this minority leader. Insert whatever you want. What is unreasonable about that? And why are Democrats criticizing Dick Durbin today? And they're not the rank and file Democrats like Jim and Jefferson or any of the other folks, or like Otis in East Hall. They're not rank and file Democrats like that. They are people that don't understand the real world. And you know what? Shut off your phones. Shut off your social media. Talk to the three-dimensional people. And I think you'll find you have a lot more in common. I had this crazy day in Newark Airport, and it was just unbelievable. So I get in. Our flight getting in from Israel is like 6 hours late, or leaves 6 hours late because they were waiting for the plane to come from America, and it got delayed because of all of that. You go through all of this, and, I ended up getting one flight after the other canceled all day long. But I tell you what, the people working for United wanted the government shutdown to end. These are people that are in New Jersey. They're probably Democrats, all right? Most people are Democrats that live in New Jersey, or a lot of people are. You go through all of this, with one flight after another getting canceled. So I got to talk to a lot of people during the course of the day. And granted, if you work in an airport and your life has been directly impacted by the shutdowns, you're not necessarily an objective group of people. But then we got to the final flight. We got on, we got off. We thought we had a pilot. We didn't have a pilot. People were in tears. They were yelling. They were screaming. And we finally got a pilot, and a guy with a boombox plays Celebrate. And it made people laugh and start dancing instead of being angry. And that's because we had a camaraderie with the people that we were traveling with. And we need to look at the three-dimensional people a little bit more. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Susan in Gainesville. Hey, Susan, how you doing?
Hello, Martha. I'm so glad you're back safe.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about the government shutdown. It seems like our politicians want to create controversy and arguments. If they just left the government open until, no matter, and staying at the old budget until they could pass a budget, or maybe even take off 10% off of everything until they pass a new budget, especially their salaries, if they could do that. But, there's no need in creating this for people when the richer people that's in Washington doesn't understand what the poorer people can't do. And as a person that's come from rags, not riches, but self-sufficiency, I can tell you, I've seen all of that. And there's times when little children can't make anything happen, but they suffer the consequences. So just leave the government open until they can agree on something.
Yeah, because
And
to my point earlier, there's money coming into the government every day. You may not have passed a budget, okay, but but people like me who are self-employed, I paid my quarterly taxes on the 15th of September. Anybody that had W-2 income were paying taxes every time they got a paycheck. Anybody that was not furloughed from the government was paying taxes every time they got a paycheck. There was money there to keep this stuff going while they were negotiating. Right. And we need to figure out a way how to make, to take this out of the political weapon status, because all that gets hurt are the people, to your point, that can't make it through something like this. And we do have a problem, Susan, in this country right now with people like me who I can pretty much weather any kind of financial thing that comes along right now because I've worked really hard for the last 40 years to make that possible. And people who are just starting out that may not have as much flexibility, and they're the ones that get hurt.
That's right. And they have no power to change it.
That's right.
So why should they keep collecting taxes when they're not doing their job? I don't think they should. I really don't. That would force them. If they just left it open at the status quo, we would save money.
Yeah.
And they can't. Yeah.
You're right, Susan.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call today. I mean, two things I think they could do that they may never do is you immediately suspend the salaries of everybody in Congress and all their staff. Okay, that's number one. And then number two, you make sure that we go ahead and pay the bills with the money that comes in. Now, granted, that's going to take a constitutional change or a rule change. I'm not sure which one. I'm doing a little digging. But I think Susan's absolutely right. It's the people that can least afford it are the ones that get used as pawns in this. And look, I don't think anybody, you're going to hear Democrats say that they won and they're going to make the people pay that caved and all this kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the Democrats were always going to cave. And I don't even like using that term because it's a negative term, but they were always going to have enough people that voted to keep the government, to open the government back up. They could have never closed the government down. They had the votes for that too. They could have done that. But they didn't do it because they wanted it as a political weapon. And you know what? A pox on all their houses. A pox on all their houses. We need to completely flip the Senate and the House and get a lot more new people in there. And I guarantee you in the next few months, you're going to hear a lot of people are going to decide to retire. And the other part I want to just say is that there's a lot of things that are happening related to the issues at hand. And we've got to make sure that the people's voice is being heard and that we're not just being a bunch of partisan hacks. President Trump has had pretty much a pass for the last 4 weeks. He's got to watch his language too, because the good work he's doing is starting to be overshadowed. We'll take a break. When we come back, we've got a great local story for you of something that's happening right here. We'll be back.
Everyone wants to live a rich life, especially in retirement. Join Rich Life advisor Bo Henderson for the Rich Life Retirement Show, where the math shows you the path. Sundays at 12:35 on WDUN.
For more than 40 years, Eagle Ranch has provided a community of support for children and families with significant challenges. I'm John Vardaman, a proud Gainesvillian and a longtime friend and supporter of Eagle Ranch. I've watched the ranch grow from a dream to a pillar in our community. It now offers outpatient counseling and a day school alongside its residential program. In all this change, Jesus Christ is still at the center. Learn more at eagleranch.org.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money, Save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawl Space Medic. Is your crawl space giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawl Space Medic, we specialize in crawl space repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
I always buy my emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Fair prices, fast shipping, quality food.
We love buying from My Patriot Supply. The products are fantastic and service is excellent.
My Patriot Supply is America's most trusted emergency food company, and right now they have a special offer for listeners of this station. It's called the Black Friday Survival Special, and it comes with a 4-week food supply, plus $150 worth of free gifts, including everything you need to prepare your emergency meals, like a cook stove, fuel, fire starters, even a water purifier, bug-out bag, and more. It's the complete survival kit your family needs to ride out natural disasters, civil unrest, or worse. And it makes a great Christmas gift, but it's only available through Black Friday. So head to mypatriotsupply.com to check out everything that's included. With all the uncertainty in the world, disaster preparedness is more important than ever. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and get prepared today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, Betty Norton of the Gainesville-based Norton Agency has passed away at the age of 93. Her obituary details and more news at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Well, this whole shutdown was a fool's errand from the start. This strategy has been tried a number of times before, where you try to use the government shutdown and the pressure to get the government reopened as a lever to get something done you couldn't get done by the normal process because you didn't have the votes. It has never worked. It was never going to work. And, you know, the Democrats, yes, there was some polling that indicated that the Democrats were getting less of the blame than the Republicans. But remember this, key elements in the Democratic Party, American Association, the American Federation of Government Employees, the Teamsters Union, the Airline Workers Union, the Pilots Union, and all, they were all urging that the Republicans' measure, the temporary measure, be passed. And of course, as the air traffic situation began to get worse and the deprivation of SNAP benefits set in, it became absolutely untenable, which, when you think about it, it really was from the start. It really wasn't about enhanced ACA benefits. It was about Democrats wanting to position themselves in resistance and opposition to Donald Trump in every way they could do or appear to do.
So it's the Martha Zoller Show, and we always think about things, what's the saying? Think globally, act locally. And there are a lot of big things happening in D.C. that don't have anything to do with us. There's some that do, and we've seen the end of that coming up. But right here in our community, there's something great going on. As something called Set Free has had a soft opening, and they're going to accommodate homeless people. North Georgia Works is one of those organizations that has been in part of that. Michael Giddens is joining me right now. He is the CEO, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening right here in our own community. Michael, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing.
So, about 2 months ago, North Georgia Works started talking with the city and some other service providers. We have a really large homeless encampment here off Dorsey Street called the Flat Creek Camp that has almost anywhere from 250 to 300 people in it. And that property needs to be closed down. The city has to do some sewage work on it, and so that was going to displace a lot of people. So we all kind of rallied together. North Georgia Works partnered with Good News at noon to take control of the Set Free building here. And I started working, especially with Mike Fisher of Street Exit and 9th District Opportunity. The two of us really started working with as many service providers as we could to put us all under one roof to create a resource center for those leaving those encampments, and also just for general homelessness as well. I think it's really commendable that the city of Gainesville had every reason to turn its back on this population, but it have really shown some serious commitment to working with this issue and partnering with us. So we started what's called the Unity Project, which is just a bunch of organizations and churches working together to try to get through the winter and tackle the closure of this camp as best we can and start moving people in the right direction. And we've already had a lot of success just when you have many hands make light work and create a lot of opportunities. And then last night, unexpectedly, we're still looking to get this building fully up to speed. We've had to do over $100,000 worth of renovations to get it to where it can be an overnight shelter. We're not quite there yet, but obviously last night the weather became, a life or death situation. So we opened up to kind of host as many people as we could to keep them safe, and had a great turnout, over 60 people. Just overnight, watching movies, staying warm, and just a great step in the right direction to kind of start showing the community, especially, that we're here. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to be able to help any way we can.
My husband is the physician at the Hall County Detention Center, and we have a company called Correctional Nursing where we handle the medical stuff as well as the mental health stuff. And of course, there's a big component of mental health issues in this community, and we've seen it. And what we're trying to do is get them with the right services and actually have some help for them as they're getting out of jail, so that they get their services maintained and they don't end up back homeless again. And that's what we're trying to do on that end. But I think what you're trying to do is really great, because what surprised me about this population is that many of them do have somewhere to go, but they've either burned a bridge or they can't go there, or whatever the situation is. And I think that you're right. The community had to work together along with organizations like North Georgia Works and others to be able to make sure that there's options for these folks, because communities have to move on. There's people that own property around there that it was impacting how their tenants and things like that were living their lives, and it makes a difference.
It does. Yeah, we're all tackling the same issue. I really, and Mark, that's a big part of what the Unity Project is. Really, there's a pretty big delay between somebody wanting help and then help becoming available. And people don't understand that. They assume, well, if you want help, go get help. Well, right now, North Georgia Works is full with a waiting list. If you want to come to us, you might be waiting months. Especially for females, the number of beds for single females without kids is extremely, extremely scarce. So we need to provide a buffer, a place for people to come, get help, get support, stay safe, stay in a safe environment while opportunities become available. And that's a real big part of what we're doing here. I think the city realized there's a lot of great service providers in Hall County. We're not hurting for organizations looking to help with the issue, but we're all full. We're all at capacity. We're all overwhelmed, and we needed a place that was a holding tank and a good environment. And that's kind of what we're doing. That's what we did last night too. Same thing. You've seen that especially when it comes to things like mental illness. Those things take time. You don't just go to a doctor and you're healthy. You got to have a place to stay stable, stay out of the environment. Plus, what a lot of people don't understand is where there are prey, there are predators. So when you have these camps and these places that are allowed to stay unchecked, people come and take advantage of that. And that's what we're dealing with a lot right now. The Unity Project, we focus in heavily on the single female population because of the predatory nature of what they're dealing with down at the camp and how they're being exploited almost 100%. Every day we have a new tragic story come through our door, black eyes, bloody noses, just things we're having to deal with. And those people need places to kind of reacclimate to society, reacclimate to safety, kind of let the trauma, the fight or flight mentality calm down, that survival instinct needs to shut down, and they need to have a place to do that. That's what we're doing. And that's really, that's our approach here, is to provide that safe harbor and connect the resources and then hold people safe until those resources become available.
Well, God bless you in the work you do and having the wherewithal to be able to continue this work, because I know it takes a real toll on the people that provide the services too. So I appreciate you very much. If people want to know more, how can they find out?
So right now our communication systems just kind of get up and running. We do have a Facebook page called the Unity Project Gainesville. I would say as we get closer to launch, we'll start having more promotional stuff So just kind of keep an eye out. We'll have a big launch event probably sometime in December. Maybe I could reach out then and kind of give you the details to spread the word then. But right now, there's not much we need. We're just working on the renovation part. So I would just say keep an eye out for December when we'll start needing volunteers to come in and help us support the work we're doing.
Michael Giddens, thanks for being with us today.
All right, you have a great day.
Thank you. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You know, at the bottom of the next hour, we're going to talk for just a couple of minutes with Michael Levine about this problem with trust that we have with our elected officials. And I think that Michael Giddens makes a great point. I think we have a lot of trust in our local community. I think we have a lot of trust in the people that we've dealt with in our local community. And this is why I say you've got to kind of take care of your own backyard before you can take care of the world. And there are people out there that want to take care of the world. They want to be congressmen. They want to be senators. They want to be the people that are out there. But bottom line is, if you're not taking care of the home front, if you will, kind of to Joe's point at the beginning, because it's Veterans Day, and we ought to thank the families that are helping with this as much as we are thanking the people that serve, that you've got to start with a rock in the water, and then the ripples go out from there. We are in such an information overload right now in this country, and we think that we have to care about everything that's happened in the world. And there are a few things that you can keep on your plate. I'm a Christian, which is the first thing I identify myself as. And so that's why I care about the plight of the people in Israel. I don't think you can be a Christian and not care about the plight of the people in Israel. And so, and you may look at it in different ways than I do, but I think that you have to be there. There are also the things you've got to take care of in your own community. And, life is difficult. Everything about life is difficult. It was never promised, what's the old song, I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. It was never promised to us that we'd be skipping and hopping through life and never have a problem. But it's how you handle those problems and what resources you use to be able to handle these problems. That's when that's when you deal with these kinds of things. So I've got a lot on my plate right now, because I will have so many stories I want to tell you about the people that I met in Israel, and I'm going to be rolling those out as I go through. And so thankful for the people at American Israeli Educational Foundation that sponsored this trip, because they have really understood what the needs are in this situation. But also taking what I learned there and bringing it back locally, because there is a community spirit that you feel everywhere you go. That we have it here, but there are voices out there in our community that are trying to tear it down. And you know what? We're stronger than that. And we're going to keep working in the right direction for this community. We'll be back.
There's nothing like cool, crisp air of fall in North Georgia after a hot, humid summer. Conditioned Air Systems is here to get your HVAC system ready for the changing seasons. With regular maintenance that saves you money on your energy bill, and look no further for quick, reliable plumbing repairs or installation services. Conditioned Air Systems has been a trusted name in Northeast Georgia for over 45 years. Call us today at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Want the latest rumor? Check social media.
Social media plays a big role in today's society.
Want to know if it's true? Log on to accesswdun.com. We focus on the facts and leave the fiction to the others.
It's trustworthy and reliable.
Online news powered by North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Pop. The House expected to vote on the bill to fund the government tomorrow afternoon, but it's expected to be a tight vote.
This time, President Trump backs this deal, and the House Freedom Caucus is also playing ball. There is hope that the conference is on board, minus maybe a Thomas Massey. The Speaker can only lose 2 of his own members if all Democrats vote no, and Democrats are whipping a no vote.
Fox's Aisha Hosni, the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group arrives in the U.S. military Southern Command region for Latin America, 2 U.S. officials tells Reuters. And President Trump leads the nation in honoring our veterans this morning at Arlington National Cemetery. Europe marks the end of World War I on this day in 1918. Big Ben chimes in London. Princess Kate lays a wreath remembering the fallen war heroes. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Hall County Sheriff's Office says that Georgia 51 Homer Highway is currently blocked at this hour by Maiden Lane and Lula due to a water main break. Detour signs have been put in place as deputies are indicating the closure could last up to 6 hours while repairs are made. WDUN will keep you posted on Access WDUN as details are available. Some schools in the area have been recognized for their reading and math progress. WDUN's Lawson Smith with details.
The Georgia Department of Education has named several Hall County schools as 2024-25 Literacy Leaders and Math Leader schools. The distinction recognizes exceptional achievement and growth in reading and mathematics according to the school system. A full list of schools that made the list are on Access WDUN.
And an overnight crash early this morning in Hart County claims the life of a Hartwell driver as Georgia State Patrol says the Volkswagen GTI of Michael Richard Wilcox was traveling on New Prospect Road northbound by Windward Point Drive at around 1:15 a.m. when the vehicle traveled off the shoulder into a pasture and struck multiple trees. The victim was pronounced dead at the crash scene. That crash still under investigation. And you can find more details and more news online by going to Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast from meteorologist Holly Strano.
Good Tuesday morning, North Georgia. Cold as we are starting this day off. It's going to stay chilly. The clear skies, sunshine, but only in the mid-40s for highs. Clear skies tonight, and overnight lows will be in the mid-30s by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
And Young Harris still below freezing at 31. Jefferson 36 degrees. And in Gainesville 34. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
Fall is planting time in North Georgia. This is Julie from Full Bloom Nursery, and now is the perfect time to plant pansies, perennials, shrubs, and trees. Planting in the fall gives your new plants time to become established without the stress of heat and dry weather. We've got over 4 acres of plants for you to choose from, so come see us for all your fall projects. Our knowledgeable staff will help you pick out the right plant for the right spot. Be sure to like us on Facebook and visit us on the web at fullbloomnursery.com.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Government's been shut down more than 40 days. The travel chaos around the country, SNAP benefits up in the air for tens of millions. What was it, or what were the combination of things that finally led this group of Democrats to say, enough's enough?
So a couple of big things here, Craig. First, everything you just listed, that combo platter, if you will, of food aid running out, of the chaos at airports, of federal workers not getting paid. People were hurting, and that's what you heard this group of Democrats talk about in breaking with the rest of the party to come to a deal here and try to move that forward. The other thing, though, is one Democrat said it wasn't working. Their whole strategy to shut down the government, to try to put the pressure on Republicans to negotiate on those, what they see as critical health care subsidies, those effectively tax credits for the Affordable Care Act, it wasn't panning out. And so at least this way, in the eyes of this group, they at least have Republicans coming to the table for a vote as per the terms of this deal here.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and my good friend Michael Levine is joining me for a few minutes today, and he sent out this very funny thing on Sunday. In the beginning, there was the word, and I fear in the end it will be the emoji, because we have no ability to keep to look in depth at anything anymore. We want to see immediately in not even 240 characters. We want to see it in an emoji, what the real world is. And you know what, folks? That ain't the real world. Joining me right now is Michael Levine, and we're going to talk a little bit about trust in government. Michael, how are you?
I'm generally well. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm finding myself, well, actually, I just got back from Israel for a week, and it's my first trip there, and it was so amazing. And then I came into Newark Airport on Sunday morning of about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and did not get back out until 1:30 a.m. on Monday. So it's been I had a lot of interesting stories for my time at Newark Airport.
What did you learn?
Well, that even among the people that work there, they really just wanted the government to end. Also, Newark, as you know, only has 2 runways, so they're trouble all the time anyway. I mean, just the least little problem backs them up. But this was a big problem with a lot of flights canceled and all that kind of stuff. So the final straw was we got on the last flight to Atlanta. We got out to the tarmac, and because there was a 2-hour wait to take off, because of all the planes that were in line to take off, the pilots had to bring it back to the gate because they didn't have enough time on their clock to be able to stay in the cockpit. And so people got a little testy, let's just say that. So we get off the plane, and people are gathering around the gate agent, and the guy's just trying to do his job, So I'm like thinking, okay, what can I do here? And there's obviously the only thing I can do is stand back and be calm. And so we sat there for about 30 minutes waiting to hear if they found us another crew. And people were getting testier and testier. But when they announced that they did get us another crew, there was a guy that had some kind of boombox with him, and he started playing Celebrate. And people started dancing around the gate. And I told the guy later when I was talking to him, I said, I think you averted some fist fights here because you played some music.
The power of humor to melt tension.
The power of keeping your sense of humor, right?
Yes.
So we've got this situation, where a bunch of elected officials who don't stop getting their salaries and who live a life where they can book themselves on 5 different flights at the same time, so they never have to wait. They do these things, and they're making decisions for us, and people don't trust them anymore. And that's a big problem. And I'm an optimist, but I'm feeling a little less optimistic at this point in time.
Well, I think you hit upon something that seems very commonsensical, which is if other people in the government payroll are not getting paid, why should they get paid?
That's right.
There is no logical explanation for that. So I would say that one of the lessons of the recent days is that immediately a bill, a law should be passed that if other people on government payroll are not paid, then elected officials are not paid. And I think that when they feel the heat, they will see the light.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, do I think that will happen? Of course not, because you're right. There does both seem to be, and in reality is, a somewhat privileged class of elected officials, and it's wrong.
Well, the big mistake we made is when we turned this into a job where you get benefits and
Correct.
and thrift incentive program and retirement plan and I think when it was a true public service job where it cost you something to be elected to Congress and to go up and represent the people that you live in, that you represent. It was different. And look, I know it's a sign of age when you start talking about the good old days, but prior to something called Gramm-Rudman, which happened in the late 80s, there were lots of government shutdowns. But the assumption was, we're going to get this together, so the government was automatically funded at current levels until they got it together.
Agreed.
And then Gramm-Rudman came along with the idea, the unintended consequence, that more accountability would be good. But on the surface, that sounds good. But what happened was, what the unintended consequence was, that a government shutdown became a political weapon instead of just something that happens every now and then, and they like using it against each other.
I think it's very well said. But again, if whatever behavior in life you want more of, I think it would be wise to reward. And whatever behavior in life you want less of, I think it would be wise to penalize. And so if you want less of a certain behavior, for the love of the Lord, why not penalize the people who are creating the behavior?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I still am optimistic enough to think that this cycle has to be close to an end, that we're in where and I think it'll end with whatever comes after Donald Trump. And I find it interesting to look at, but after being in Israel for a week, and it's my first trip to Israel, and I met Christians and Jews and Arabs, and the interesting thing is on October 7th is that Hamas thought that the Arabs inside Israel would rise up and help them. And there was a plan that was uncovered where that they articulated that. And the fact of the matter is, the Arabs that live inside Israel actually do better than Arabs anywhere else in the, quote, Arab world. And so, no, they didn't rise up. They actually helped out their Jewish neighbors. They actually did things. They joined the IDF by volunteer. They can't be conscripted, but they did things in their communities. They didn't fight, against the Israelis. And it's because they're Israelis too. This idea that they don't live in this community. And I've got to tell you, I was humbled, Michael, by the culture of service. Now, granted, I know it's 10 million people and not 330 million people, but there is a culture of service in Israel that we used to have, but we don't have anymore.
Well, one might argue that is born of prosperity. The reason that Israel is so community-minded is because they have to be. Their survival depends upon it. Americans have detached any sense of survival and community service. There's no sense among an average American that their survival depends upon it. It might be inconvenient, but there's just no sense of that. Now, we have divorced American citizens from a sense of community service for lots of reasons, and our education system might be a very good place to start. The average American, I just saw a movie the other day, which, by the way, I commend to you, called Nuremberg. Okay? Outstanding movie, Russell Crowe, really, really worth seeing. But a question for you. If we went to an average college campus in Georgia today and we said, what is Nuremberg? What percentage of college students, high school students as well, know what Nuremberg is? And the answer is likely none.
Yeah, not many.
Now, if that is true, we are graduating high school students in Georgia in the early part of the 21st century without knowing anything about even modest modern-day history.
Yeah.
And we're surprised?
We're surprised. We are surprised. Michael Levine, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks, friend.
Thank you. We'll take a break and we'll be back.
It's the news that affects you and the talk that keeps you listening.
We'll continue on with additional discussions today as we stay engaged.
North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Innovation at Jackson EMC.
To me, innovation is taking technology and doing something new with it.
I'm working with a global company. We're helping them be able to reduce their carbon footprint through some of our programs.
Here at Jackson EMC, we embrace innovation, such as solar power, electric vehicle programs, energy-efficient right choice homes. Jackson EMC, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow.
Northeast Georgia's premier dermatology providers at Dermatology Associates of Northeast Georgia offers medical and cosmetic dermatology services to keep your skin healthy and radiant. Our experienced medical providers remind you of the importance of annual skin exams to help prevent skin cancer. With 1 in 5 Americans facing this risk, booking your annual full skin exam is essential to your well-being. Contact us to book your appointment at any of our 3 locations in Gainesville, Demarest, or Dahlonega. Visit us online at negeorgiaderm.com to learn more.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
I always buy my emergency food from My Patriot Supply. Fair prices, fast shipping, quality food.
We love buying from My Patriot Supply. The products are fantastic and service is excellent.
My Patriot Supply is America's most trusted emergency food company, and right now they have a special offer for listeners of this station. It's called the Black Friday Survival Special, and it comes with a 4-week food supply, plus $150 worth of free gifts, including everything you need to prepare your emergency meals, like a cook stove, fuel, fire starters, even a water purifier, bug-out bag, and more. It's the complete survival kit your family needs to ride out natural disasters, civil unrest, or worse. And it makes a great Christmas gift, but it's only available through Black Friday. So head to mypatriotsupply.com to check out everything that's included. With all the uncertainty in the world, disaster preparedness is more important than ever. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and get prepared today. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, an early morning wreck in Hart County claims the life of a driver from Hartwell. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I ask every guest this. If you could offer one remedy to heal a sick culture, it could be physically, emotionally, or spiritually, what would that remedy be?
Go to church. Go to church. I say this is a Jew. Go to church.
Why do you say that as a Jew?
Because this is a Christian country. And I want Jews to go to synagogue, but there ain't that many of us. So if you're a Christian or if you grew up in a Christian household, even if you didn't, go to church. Church is good for you. I've said that my entire career. Charlie said it his entire career. It ain't going to stop now.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans that are out there. I think about things in terms of my dad and my father-in-law and my brother and my nephew that have served and are serving. I also have several other people in my extended family that are serving. But thank you for that service, and we are indebted to you in a way that we can never pay you back. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Tom in Lula. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Hey, Martha, and thanks for playing that Ben Shapiro's right there, and thanks for what you do. And, on this Veterans Day, I tried to climb in the head, or on every Veterans Day, I wrote this a while back, and you allowed me to read it a couple of years ago. It's a poem, but I'm not going to try to do that whole thing. I'm just going to comment on it and then I got a little ditty that my wife came up with that I think is very kind of funny, but also very good and to the point. So on Veterans Day, the guy from Concord, Lexington, all the way through Afghanistan, in his head, this is what I think he might be thinking about the rest of us back home. Now, there are some things that you must do. You need to be a soldier, too. Befriend my wife, protect my kids, safeguard liberty, property, and innocent life, crush corruption, root out greed, so when I return, you not need be freed from those who seek to control your life, your liberty, your soul. We must all be soldiers, no matter the cost, so our precious freedom will ne'er be lost. I am a soldier through and through. Can the same be said of you? And I'm saying that about you, Martha. You're a soldier, and all the people that do the work that you do, whether they're on the radio or whatever, are civilian soldiers to save this country. And the biggest example that comes to mind right now of doing that is Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, yeah. And I tell you what, Toby Keith did this great show of. Song called American Soldier, which if you've never heard it, you should listen to it. It's an amazing song. Did we lose Tom? Okay, hold on. We're back to
here.
You, Tom. There you are.
All right, thank you. And my wife came up with this, and I know you talk about, this sort of overall topic. She said, it's time to vanquish woozles who think they think for me and you.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Tom, and happy Veterans Day. Let's go to the phones now and talk to Robert in Gainesville. Hey, Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Martha. Thank you very much. I wish it wasn't so windy. Yeah. Some time ago, Joe Biden said he was the face of the Democratic Party, and of course I agree with that, but it wasn't so apparent who was pulling the strings. But I believe it was Barack Obama, and he broke the trail for he was the face of the Democratic Party in 2008, and it's been ever since. In other words, the real face of the Democratic Party was Barack Obama, and I think Bill Clinton broke the trail for him, and he's been on that trail for a long time. But look how the Obamacare has been thrust into the present scenario. I think that speaks for itself. Schumer has insisted that Obamacare being extended for another year. But this means that the Democratic Party has always been manipulated behind the scenes because their platform is always a facade. All the Democrats have agreed to gather together under a protective umbrella of lies, deceit, and false promises, and that for political power. But how long will Americans, how long are we going to be subdued and misled by this Democratic Party? Look at their platform today and consider their demands. I'd like to kind of quote them in a way. Give us your desire to extend Obamacare so we can continue taking taxpayers' wealth and give it to the poor and needy illegal aliens.
I think it's so interesting because, if you heard the clip that we came in with, and thanks for your call today, Robert, the clip we came in with, Ben Shapiro, what do we need to do to change the culture? And he said, go to church. As a Jew, I'm saying go to church. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, the thing that is going to get us back on track is for families, communities, people, individuals to get back to God. Okay, to get back to something greater than themselves. I'm a Rotarian, and we have this thing that says, service above self, a motto, service above self. And we've got to get back to that, not think, because it's counterintuitive not to think of yourself first. But if you can put a community together that thinks about others first, and I'm talking about a community, not a government. A government cannot think about others first. Okay, because they don't have anything if you don't give it to them. So we need to work on all of that. Now, Logan, I want to bring you in here for a minute because I got a little bit of news while I was gone.
Okay,
we had a little bit of time, where we followed the news. But I really tried to be as separated as possible because I wanted to take in everything. But I saw this interview with Michelle Obama, and I don't think she was the greatest person ever, but she is what she is. But this is a woman who was the First Lady for 8 years. she's become fabulously wealthy. She and her family become fabulously wealthy in post-life. They were pretty wealthy beforehand, but still kind of upper middle class. So she made this statement, which I just couldn't believe. She goes, well, just because I have a stylist and a hairdresser and a makeup artist doesn't mean I'm privileged. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is the most ridiculous statement I've heard, is that a wealthy woman complaining about how having all these perks doesn't mean you're privileged. Well, I don't know what it means. I knew when I used to do TV and I had a makeup and a hair person that was a privilege. Okay, that's not something everybody has. I just thought it was crazy.
Well, Martha, my makeup and hair person, they're on vacation right now, so I think they'll be back in about a week or so. That's why I'm looking a little rough today. But
I think she needs to stop talking. For her to try to say that her 8 years, somehow she was the first lady of the United States. That in and of itself puts her in a very small group.
Right. You're in a very exclusive class there.
The most exclusive club next to being president of the United States.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you can't get a whole lot closer than that. You're right there.
I just don't understand it. So what was the biggest news story from your standpoint while I was gone?
Oh, man, we had a lot going on here on the site. Of course, we had, the elections, and we were all over that, and credit to Tom Smiley for filling in, doing a great job.
He did a great job.
And, just we had a lot of local stuff going on with, just the typical stuff going on here with,
I was surprised at the elections, honestly, and I probably won't get to that too much, but I was surprised that both Tim Echols and Fitz Johnson were beaten in those PSC races. But let's not forget, we still got 3-2 on the PSC, and we're going to be able to keep things the way they are. I was disappointed in that, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that these municipal elections brought out a lot of Democrat voters, and quite frankly, the government shutdown brought in a lot of Democrat voters. But really, Chuck, using a government shutdown that hurts hundreds of thousands of people while you feign to care about them in order to get a few people out to vote in Virginia and New Jersey, which you were going to win anyway. The bottom line is blue states elected blue elected people, and purple states now, let's be honest here, we're a purple state. Purple states now have a public service commission that's a little more blended. We have a legislature that's a little more blended over the last few years. We don't have constitutional majorities anymore in Georgia. So they want to point to the fact they got some special elections in Texas and Georgia, which is what the PSC was. It was a special election. Neither one of those were supposed to be in 2025. So they won a couple of special elections in red states. Does that mean they won? I think they're going to think that they did, and so it's going to give us a real opportunity in 26, but we can't.